It's Christmas time. Well, it's Advent time technically, but whatever. It's Christmas time. And one of the things we hear at Christmas all the time is peace on earth and goodwill towards men.
Peace on earth.
And that men should be interpreted as all people because it was a patriarchal society and what they really meant was all people. So peace on earth, except the angels proclaimed that 2,000 years ago, and here we are, still violent, still divided. What does it mean to cooperate with this peace? How do we as followers of Jesus actually cooperate and enact and take action on this idea? And I'm glad you asked, because that's what we're talking about this week. Kindred UMC live show features adults discussing adult topics, occasionally with adult language. It may not be suitable for young viewers. Please use discretion before watching. Hello all, welcome once again to the Kindred UMC pre-recorded live show, coming to you not live, but pre-recorded from my front room, aka Kindred Studio A. My name is Chris Hayden. I am the pastor of Kindred UMC.
My name is Ann, and I'm the treasurer for Kindred UMC.
Either myself nor Ann could piggyback off what Chris did right there, but my name is Ryan, and I'm the SBRC chair of Kindred UMC.
It's Christmas time! That's why I'm wearing... This is the second time we've done this because Anne failed us all. I'm wearing my PJs for Christmas morning and my green sweater, red and green. We're on a red couch and there's a tree over there. I don't know if this is going to make the final cut. We've got wreaths. It's Christmas time, except in the church we don't call it Christmas. Does anyone know what we call it?
I was here last week. It's Advent.
Yeah, that's right. It's Advent. Advent, does anybody know what Advent means?
Yes.
Arrival.
Yes, arriving. Arrival. Yes, yeah. The advent of, the arrival of. They're interchangeable. So we're talking about Christ coming. We're remembering the stories of Christmas, but we're also, it looks forward to when Christ will come again. That's kind of another kind of aspect of Advent that nobody ever pays attention to at all. But for the rest of the world, they just call it Christmas, and it's Christmas time. So we are looking at the Christmas story, and specifically, we're going to be talking about, because there's kind of two different ways. Usually, you kind of in the church you do like 1 year, and then you do the other year, and then you do go back to the other year, and then you kind of A/B it. And one of them is looking at the characters in the story, like Mary and the prophets and the shepherds and the angels. And the other way is looking at, what is it? What order is it? It's hope, peace, love, joy. No, hope, peace, joy, love. And that's the other way. And so that's the one we're doing this year. Hope, peace, joy, love. And we are on peace. So to get us started, I'm going to talk about, this is the night of the birth of the Christ child. This is in Luke, the Gospel of Luke chapter 2, verses 8 through 14, and they sound like this. In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then the angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people." For who?
All the people.
That's right. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors." Peace among who?
Those who he favors.
Okay, all right. Good. That's what we're going to kind of focus on this week. I have talked about shepherds and angels in the past. So, go look at last year's Christmas stories around angels and shepherds. Quick briefing. Angels typically are harbingers of doom. So that's why the shepherds are terrified. That's why all the people in Luke's Gospels, when they meet angels, they're terrified. And the angel says, "Do not be afraid." That's great news, because normally they come like a nuclear bomb and they're there to destroy the city, And so do not be afraid is great. And we bring you good news. Like, that's awesome. The other thing is shepherds typically are like the lowest of the low. So it's remarkable that the angel is appearing to the lowest of the low, and they're the first people that kind of worship the new arriving Christ child.
My grandfather was a shepherd.
Oh yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back in biblical times, they sent them to the fields so that they would smell bad and not live in the city.
Right.
It's not quite the profession it was that back then. In fact, I've preached that aspect of the sermon before, and like had actual farmers in the congregation, and they were like, "I got a bone to pick with you, buddy." And I was like, "I was talking about back then. Calm down. It's not that way anymore. Shepherd is a noble profession, and give my thanks." Does he have any access?
Well, he passed away. He was born in 1896. But yeah,
I was hoping if I could get some locally sourced. Okay, so the thing I want to talk about is, so I bring you good news for
everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And peace on earth for
those who I favor.
Favors.
Yeah. So what's up with that? Do you see a discrepancy?
I do.
Like, what's going on? So what do you make of that? What's your just general reaction to that?
I mean, I feel like surface level, obviously there is a discrepancy in the wording, right? When you think about it, because on one hand you're saying it's for everyone, and then you're saying it's for those who I favor.
Yeah.
So which is it, right? And I'm sure there's something you can tie in to kind of clarify.
Yeah, I will unpack and do some stuff, but I want to start here because this is genuinely how I engaged this text. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of been working on it all week. And I even up till this day, I was texting you guys. I was like, I want to talk about this, and this is confusing, but I don't have a good angle on it yet. And I got something for you, but.
Well, also, I think one of the things is with these texts, sometimes they're misconstrued by a lot of people, right? People interpret it in the way that they
So why is that? How does that happen? Because I agree with you. I think you're absolutely onto something. But what happens, do you think?
Just through the years, misinterpretation, and it becomes the status quo that people believe, and they adopt that meaning rather than actually looking deep into the text or seeking out knowledge, maybe not from somebody who's an expert on the topic, but at least refining the knowledge that they're receiving to make sure that what they're saying is accurate rather than just peddling something that's been peddled years and, over the years.
Yeah. To me, it's like I can't remember the comic who talks about it, but he talks about, he and his dad were watching a movie with Sean Connery or something like that, or some movie star. And his dad leans over and goes, he's gay. And the guy was like, oh. And he just spent like the next 20 years going around being like, yeah, did you know that guy's gay? And then eventually ran into a guy who's like, no, he's not. I know him. Like, he's married and we hang out. He and his family and I hang out. And he was like, oh. And the guy was like, why did you think he was gay? He's like, oh, because some guy told me one time. And then just proceeded to believe it for the rest of his life. And not that there's anything wrong with being gay or anything, but like, the information was wrong because he just heard it one time, and rather than looking into it for himself. And I think there's something about Christian faith, modern Christian faith, that is kind of rife with that problem. Rather than being actual disciples and people who really want to understand the truth of who God is, how Jesus describes God and describes faith, we instead want to just give me the answers, please. And then they go around going like, oh yeah, did you know that God hates gay people? Because some guy told me one time, rather than being like, well, maybe you should read the thing if you really care about it that much. Or fair enough, if you don't have time to read it, fair enough, but don't go around saying stuff then. If you don't have the time to read it, then don't go around saying you believe it,
I mean, that's why people on scientific papers always go to the conclusion section, right? They just, they just want.
I don't think that many people are reading scientific papers.
No, but like,
I was a psychologist.
Yeah.
Like psychology was so I know exactly what you mean.
People value other people's interpretation of something more, and I say people, I'm not trying to be general here, but a lot of people, at least I know, value the interpretation of something by others because it's the easy road, right? It's simpler.
Yeah, and I actually don't blame you. Like because you can, I have often said, you can only really care about like 7 things, and yet there is a societal pressure to care about everything. Mm-hmm. And I always use the example of global warming and like the environment. I care about that, but I don't really care about that. It's not one of the things that I'm like knowledgeable about, can speak to. Like in fact, our garbage guys stole our recycle bin. Like they threw away our recycle bin and I haven't replaced it yet. I've just been throwing away things. Like, so I obviously don't care that much about recycling, but if I was to posture as though I did, I think that's what a lot of people feel pressure to do. It's like, no, that's just not one of the 7 things I care about. Like, I care about these other things, and they're the things I read about and look into, and I try to do my best on the other things, and I think that's okay. And I think that's how a lot of people engage the Bible. So fair enough. I don't want to be super critical of it. Anyway, let's talk about the actual what's going on in this language. So it's this translation is something along the lines of peace on earth to those whom God favors. Well, the Hebrew is much different than that, actually. It's peace to men, peace to all men, which is a stand-in because it's a patriarchal culture. Men is a stand-in for all humanity. Mm-hmm. So it's peace to humanity, effectively, if we're interpreting. And then since there's no punctuation in ancient Greek, what you have to do is interpret a comma there. You have to put a comma. And it changes it from peace to those whom God favors to peace to all humanity whom God favors. Like, it's actually good news to all people, this revelation that God is looking on all of humanity, even the bad ones, even the lowly ones, even the shepherds, which is the audience of this pronunciation. Even the shepherds, God is saying, I look on you with favor, peace to everyone. And of course, this word peace, and it's derived from the Hebrew word shalom, which is an active force. It's more than just an absence of violence. It's an active force of justice and peace. It's a fairness. We no longer have to fight for resource because we all take care of each other and love each other and we can trust each other. It's like an active thing. So the real thing that's going on here is what sounds like an exclusive thing is actually an inclusive thing. And God is saying, I desire peace for every single person because I love you and favor you. So, reactions to that?
I think that was where I started a little bit with my sunshine and rainbows pregnancy outlook right now. I was like, yeah, of course he meant everybody.
He must, right? Because and I do genuinely mean that. Like, because if any cursory reading of the Gospels, it's really hard to arrive at anything other than Jesus wants to include and grab as many people into the kingdom of heaven as possible. Like, it's hard to read the Gospels and arrive at a different conclusion than that. And so like that statement stands out, and that's why I was struggling with it all week.
I feel like for me, I agree. I definitely think that is the overall message. Unfortunately, I don't see that as an actionable way of how people are acting in our current state of affairs in this world. I see maybe not that part, but some parts being weaponized as an us versus them type of statement, where it's as long as you are of this faith, or as long as you have this belief, then you are the favored one, and the others that do not are the shepherds, right? In this connotation. But and that kind of stands out to me. And that's what I brought up at the beginning of the way people kind of misconstrue things, and they choose to follow their own interpretation. And overall message is beautiful, and I agree with it. I just don't see it.
I will agree with that. And I would even take it so far as it's not even just your belief or you're this or that. I would say it's even a status thing. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, right, you can't play with us because whatever, like pick a thing. But there is a level, I'm seeing it more lately, I guess, just because I'm noticing, I've been seeing and hearing a lot of people, it's the holidays, and I think a lot of people are struggling. They're trying to figure out this year how to do Christmas and make it happen and put food on the table. Inflation
and like just day-to-day prices are harder for sure, especially if you're trying to, so, American tradition is somebody hosts and like has a feast, and if you're trying to host and buy presents and usually if you're hosting, you're probably the family with the kids. Right. Which is even worse. Because usually the grandparents come to visit the kids because you don't want to displace the kids, and that's broad, but whatever. Yeah. I'll tell you what, my wife and I, we don't have kids. We're flying to Kansas because that's where her family is, because they've got the kids. Right. And we're fortunate enough, because we don't have kids, that can be like the thing we're spending that money on, and there's something about we used to be able to kind of buy Christmas presents and feed people for $200, and it's gradually gone up, and fair enough. But then in the recent years, it's just ramped up. And it's like all of a sudden that's 300 and 400. It's like almost doubled. And which is why we were like, well, why don't we just go ahead and fly over there then? Because that can be the present, because it's getting that expensive. Yeah. And so there's something crazy about that. And it's a struggle. Anyway, I'm talking a lot. I hope I didn't interrupt you. No. I mean, that's really, but I think that there's even a level of that inside outside, right? Yeah. Oh, you're the family that we had to buy the turkey for. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that they're not doing all that they can and whatnot, but it's rough out there, guys. Well, I think so. To tie it back into what you were saying too, there is something to the, peace for all people, and peace being an active force. Economic peace is a part of that. It's more than just an absence of violence. Peace is a sense of security. It's a sense of well-being. It's a sense of the universe and the powers that be are for me. And I do think we've been struggling with that. I know we just got through a pretty divisive election. And there are people on both sides. There are people who are very happy and optimistic right now, and there are people who are terrified. And wherever you are, I think everyone would agree that there's an inherent distrust right now amongst most people in the powers that be, the powers that govern us, whether it be economically or globally. There are two horrific wars happening that the United States is actively involved in right now, not to mention all the little secret ones, where our tax dollars are actively killing people, and we don't have much of a choice in that other than, voting, I guess. But even that's kind of tricky, it's like, so I guess the question is, given both these examples and just the broader, I think we all understand that we do not live in a perfect time of peace. This prophecy, this thing that the angels announced, is not fully present here. Mm-hmm. We are not in a time of peace. we're doing better than we ever were, really, but we still have active non-peace happening, not shalom. So how do we, as followers of Jesus, as people who want to be in the kingdom of heaven, as people who want to cooperate with this grace that's moving us towards that, how do we find and practice and cooperate with shalom and peace, just on a day-to-day and in our real lives? Like, how do you see that happening?
Honestly, as trivial as this sounds, just basic things that we can do as human beings, looking out for other people, being more understanding to those that have differing opinions than us, not shunning someone because they may see something differently, and truly accepting people for who they are, right? Versus trying to take your narrative and shove it down people's throats. Because at the end of the day, if you truly believe in a free society, you have to allow that freedom to cover all aspects of humanity, not just in a finite way that you perceive it. And I feel like that's going to breed that more of a peaceful outlook on people. And you genuinely sit down and see.
Rights for people we disagree with are the most important ones.
Exactly. When you genuinely sit down and think to yourself, is that person actively hurting me because they think of this thing as that? Because, I think differently. I must, hate them, or I must have some type of attitude toward it. It's not the case. And we can all have differing opinions. And I know some of the people on this, in the live show, have seen me do other live shows where you probably disagree with me entirely with certain things that I've said. And that's okay.
Yeah. It can be okay. I do think this is an important part of, I think, and I'm optimistic about this. I think we're coming around on this, but we've been sold a bill of goods that if someone disagrees with you on certain issues, and they're usually identity based, they're usually somewhere in that kind of like extreme left or extreme right, that if you, for example, if you're pro-life, then you're some kind of kook and we can't be friends, and vice versa. If you're pro-choice, and if you see it as a woman's body rights issue, then you're a murderer, and you're like, and we can see the extremes, and it's like, no. These are two different people who are genuinely doing their best, and we've been sold a bill of goods that says you can't even tolerate this person's existence. And it's like, no. You absolutely can. You can even love each other. You can be in the same family. You can share dinner together. You're like, you can love each other. You can trust this person to watch your children. Like and we all kind of know that. Like, how many people's parents, if you're a parent with kids, how many of you have parents who disagree with you on some of these identity things, but you would absolutely feel safe leaving your children with them? Like, you clearly love these people.
What did you say about the recycling thing at the beginning? You don't really recycle, right? And right. You're not going to posture as somebody that is super pro-environment, right?
Like, eventually we'll get another recycle thing, and eventually, but it's not on my top list,
Someone who's pro-life and pro-choice. You can't scold each other, because at one token, you might be extremely pro-something, but you're also a neocon and you love war. And you don't care about the lives that are killed by the bombs that are being dropped. You know what I mean? So we can't posture as something that we're not and come at people in different ways and decide that I'm going to perceive this thing the way I want it perceived, and any outlying factors will not factor into anything that I'm saying or doing towards another person. You can't do that.
That's a great way to be isolated and miserable.
Yeah.
We were saying you can only care about like 7 things. And I think just as you were saying that, like, oh, we can only, if I only care about this, then I don't have to care about these people. I mean, yeah, you can care about the 7 things, but can't people in general, like, can't we just be nice and want to be good neighbors and good people to each other? Can that just not be part of it? Do you know what I mean? Like, can we just decide to put some of these other things?
Can't that
Not
be the
put it in the
foundation?
forefront, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So absolutely care about it, but don't care about that
More than the people.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is this. Read the Bible.
Read the
We
book.
don't. We look for the conclusion.
Yeah, look at how Jesus treats the people who were doing that were the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes and the lawmakers. And they're the people that Jesus actively criticizes all the time. And why? Because they're putting the issue before their people, their neighbors.
Humanity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is so clear if you just take a look at it. Jesus cares about the people, even the Roman soldiers, even the tax collectors and the prostitutes. And Jesus is like, no, these are my people. Why are we getting these people out because of stupid rules? We need to include these people so that they can experience the grace and love of a God-led community. They need to be a part of this gracious environment that we're trying to cooperate with. That's a gift, by the way. God is giving us grace. It's not something we created. It's not something we have that we can sell or barter or no, it's a thing that God is giving us. And there are people out there who need it and they disagree with you. They disagree with you. I promise you, if you talk to them long enough, you're going to find some things that you're like, oh, that's my issue. And it's going to be like, yeah, I'm on the other side of that issue. And if that's a line in the sand for you, come on, man. I mean, I understand that the line in the sand might be oh, I like to kill people with, brown hair. Okay, all right, you're a crazy person. Let's call the police. But if the line in the sand is I disagree on this political issue, or one of the things, if you have a problem with pronouns. If you have a problem with people who have a problem with pronouns, it's you guys can share dinner. Come on. Choose peace. And yeah, it might cost you something. It might cost you some compromise.
But it's worth it.
It is worth it. And that is kind of the message of the peace of the coming Christ is that the human relationships and the willingness to be together and the compromise that it takes to do that might actually be beneficial. Humbling ourselves to the people who we disagree with might actually help us, let alone the actual community.
100%.
This is, we're talking about this peace is an active force. It's a thing you have to choose. It's like love. Love is a thing you feel, but it's also a thing you choose and you do. And so is peace. Peace is a thing you feel, but it's also a thing you do. You have to do it in order to cooperate with this grace that's moving in us and around us and moving us all towards the kingdom of heaven. So I hope that this season you can choose and find peace. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you
Peace.
peace. Amen.
Amen.